Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ninja Turtles Next Mutation Reactions. I am Fred. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. We are in the home stretch of this series, which has we sped along since switching to doing 2 episodes a week. We are picking up in the today. I'm going to be watching and giving my genuine, off the cuff reactions and opinions on Unchain My Heart parts 2 and 3. So which aired much earlier in the series than when we're watching them now, but the DVD set puts them towards the back end of the series just to make sure there's some continuity of sorts, but it gives like some semblance of like a open up with a major story arc and kind of close with a major story arc. So we got these 2 episodes this week, plus the final 2 episodes of the series officially next week. Then after that, we have the 2 Power Rangers in Space episodes that tie in with this series, which is kind of odd because the turtles only appear like maybe the last like 30 seconds to a minute of one of those episodes, and they have a completely different voice cast for them too. Speaking of the casting, let's talk about Van Mee real quick. The vampire mistress that appeared in Unchained My Heart Part 1 is the lead antagonist of this particular story arc. She is portrayed by an actress named Kira Clavel. Now, there's not much that I've seen her in, but I looked up her IMDb page and I realized where I saw her before. She appears as Amaterasu in episodes of Stargate SG-1. And just like how her performance in this series is in Ninja Turtles Next Mutation, her voice is completely dubbed over. Like they have like another voice imposed on top of it. But it was like kind of curious to see what she did. Kind of like Scott McNeil as Bone Steels, like realizing, okay, here are some actors who are in this series, probably forgotten about and buried, or like they don't want to, that they probably never think about. It's like, huh, Scott McNeil is a pretty much an upper tier voice actor in his own right, and Kira Clavel has done things in her career. This just to give a rundown of what she has done, because she's was recently appeared in 2 episodes of a show called The Recruit. She supplied her voice for in a video game called The Chant. Was in the 2022 Kung Fu series a couple of times. A lot of guest roles, like a lot of one-off, two-off roles. She was on Lucifer for in one episode. Um, she was in Scooby Doo: The Mystery Begins. I believe that was an animated, it was quasi animated feature. I didn't see it, so I don't know. But there you go. Let's see. Stargate SG-1 for a couple episodes in 2004. Um, she was in House of the Dead, the movie. For what good that is. And she was also in an episode of. Actually, her first role was in an episode of Highlander, the series, in 1996. She was also appeared in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show, in 1998, prior to appearing in a number in Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. So she's had a career. She was also in 4 episodes of La Femme Nikita. I actually did watch that show back in the day. But yeah. Anyway, anyway, that little bit of trivia and diving into somebody's IMDb page history aside, if you if you are new here to the channel and you don't know how I'm doing these, what we do is we have the display up. It is blurred, obviously, for DMCA purposes. You don't hear any audio from the video because I generally run my mouth for the better part of an hour. Of course, we throw this on top of it, and we're gonna get into it. The Unchain My Heart Part 2. So the entire plot here is that Bambi's heart is in a box that's in the turtle's lair, and she needs to get the heart back in her chest within 4 days. Hence why this is a four-parter. It makes sense. And I will comment on this from last week with part one. Bone Steel had the upper hand on the turtles twice in one episode, and it takes some extreme circumstances for him to like not succeed. Hey, the promotion art for Batman and Robin, that shot over it was seen again. Yeah, she said she was deformed. Oh boy, this poor kid is up in the corner. Turtles come in bales, not packs. Boy, this kid is, he looks like he's gonna get smacked upside the head. I'm just expecting it. And the only, so I'm saying it's like it's already been a day, but it says that he's only had like 48 hours left from this point. And here comes the other little minion. I do have to appreciate this. There is a heck of a unique echo effect on the girl vampire's voice. It's kind of screechy at the same time, but there there is an echo effect there. Yeah, the echo effect that they have on the voices is actually really cool. So the audio mixing on this episode makes me appreciate it a little bit more, and it's also more than apparent that as they were filming these episodes, they were doing a real conscious effort, a much better job, or at least with that scene than in the first episode of this arc, to really sync up the what was being conveyed with the voicing with whatever like stage direction that the actors were given. So the words are matching up with are actually syncing up better, and they're actually matching the emotional intensity or lack thereof. Wiggly can hams it's a heart. Evil fall flying rugrats. That sounds like a Borderlands enemy. The heart of a 2,000-year-old vampire. And you know what the thing is? Sad thing is, that vampire has more heart than the president of the United States these days. He's a pretty nasty hamper. know, so let me also something I have not praised as much as I did early on is like the lip flap syncing for the turtles as they talk. It is very very impressive. Granted, the over relying on the slapstick is certainly feels like padding. Hey, it's a heart in a jar. But oh wow, that's actually a cool like little panning of the panning up there. To indicate like a little bit of flying. But the one advantage, actually a huge advantage that this being a multi-part story is going to have, and much like East meets West of opening five-parter has, is that it's letting the story breathe, and it's not really, and it's allowing characters to actually get moments, such as Bone Steel talking to his weapon, and that he can smell a spy, and it goes to show how capable. Again, Bone Steel is so freaking he he caught the kid. He caught the kid who just breathes in his face. Wow, he caught him with no trouble. Oh, wait. Bone Steel hunted vampires? He's uh, so wait, and he what? Ah, damn. Bone's still laying out there that not only he hunt vampires, that he just put the fear of the whatever god that they whatever y'all want to believe in into that vampire kid. Then if you get in his way getting between him and the turtles, he will skin him alive. God damn, Bone Steel is fucking awesome. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's actually a clever joke. Who weighs you? Wolves? No, a rat. Actually, that's a clever line exchange there between Mikey and Leo. Why is Michelangelo caressing his sandwich like it is a pet? Donatello looking for a rational explanation or in a vampire beating heart? Raphael wants to give it back to the vampires? His reasoning is not exactly good here. Leonardo is actually in partial agreement with Raphael, giving the heart back to the vampires. Well, at least the Splinters called out Leonardo on that. This is like vampires are a human problem, but Venus is a shinobi, and thus the vampires are a shinobi problem, thus making it Venus's problem, and by proxy making it the turtles' problems. Everybody got that so far? Good. Wow, this is actually giving some nice characterization. Again, this being a multi-part story, you get these moments there where stuff like this in other episodes and stuff that were condensed. This actually stretches everything out and gives characters moment to breathe. Makes you wonder why the series did not get this guy like multi-part stories the entire way. Actually, I know the answer to that. It's for syndication purposes. Again, Van Mee is actually a credit to again Kira Clavel that on her performance here, that knowing that her voice was going to more likely be dubbed over. Not sure if they actually told her that during the performance, but her emoting and everything, and the anger and frustration is actually really good. Well, Van Mee has a point here. Like, why didn't they get the heart and then bring it to her in China? And they says, "Oh, but we missed you." Yeah, but now they basically put her eternal life at risk because of their plan, because of how they did things. Bone Steel scene? Yeah, this has to be Bone Steel in that pile of garbage. Of course, this being set in New York and filmed in Vancouver, one could argue that it's like the piles of garbage move on their own all the damn time. Oh, actually showing a an exterior shot with an ambulance, and she's got herself some plasma. She's she's hungry. Why did they stop her in the first place? That's actually the thing. Like they stopped her from drinking the blood, like for that plasma. It's like it's undignified because they stalked her food. That is both clever, and I also feel that is something I've seen or heard in another vampire-related movie. No, I think that was also mentioned in Buffy the Vampire Slayer there with Spike, or something. Michelangelo's convincing Raphael to go out and take the heart. Why is Michelangelo's giving? Michelangelo basically just gave Raphael set things up for Raphael to make things worse. By waking up early, telling Raphael to take the little heart thing out there, let it go, make sure it gets back to the vampires. What the hell was Michelangelo thinking? Granted, it's Michelangelo, so thus his brain cells are not all there. Matter of fact, I am so stunned by this, I am overlooking the use of the stock footage of Raphael on his motorcycle, which actually used for an extended sequence there, which actually was quite good. Although he, although why did they include that sequence when he should the shot has him look like he crawled out of a sewer grate? 33 station uptown only. Man, me has gotten drunk on the sauce. How much? There was like about a dozen. Like humans can do with an artificial heart transplants. Oh, she needs her heart. Uh, all right, at least making use of the certified eye in the sky, and they're tracking Raphael. Okay, so okay. So it was not just Michelangelo's plan. Leonardo and Donatello was in on this too, and they're doing this plan while Venus is asleep. And they're dragging that heart around clearly on a fishing line, making a bounce across. And look, Bone Steel comes across Raphael. So it's like Bone Steel's tracking skills are immaculate. She is happy she can hear her heart beating as it bounces along the pavement. And she's drunk. She can barely stand. Uh, Walk this way, and she's just staggering all over the place. Well, and they just leaned into her being totally drunk joke with that line. I could walk that way if I could walk. After drinking 12 bags of frozen plasmas, like yeah, they totally leaned into it. They, well, Raphael, stop stepping on a girl's heart. It's women who's supposed to rip the heart out of a chest and step on it. What the hell am I saying? Dig? Yes, dig. Who digs? So at least the Late Show, they're aware of the Late Show, which at this point would be Greg Kilborn's Late Show. Oh boy, he dropped a bad line, and he squeezes the heart. Somebody did say attack. And again, using kids as Vanmy's minions. Again, it is a choice because they're not exactly the most threatening sidekicks. Why is it this blip thing around? Matter of fact, I recognize that shot. Now it's actually back from the East meets West five-parter when Raphael was off on his own. Fighting vampires is a group sport. Okay, fair enough. And again, got to make use of the Hummer stock footage. Okay, are they going to show four turtles? Are they going to show a shot of four turtles sitting in the Humvee? So here's the question: are they going to show it? They're showing all the extended thing of Leonardo putting it into gear. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They showed two shots. As a matter of fact, they just showed a shot where Leonardo's in the passenger seat and Michelangelo was driving it. And Bone Steel captures a Raphael and the two vamp kids. She wants her heart back. Is it that too much to ask? And again, Bones the circumstances involved in Bone Steel's plans and success in capturing someone, like the the circumstances of which things go wrong for him, is so extraordinary because he could, if you factor in out the external factors, Bone Steel would be successful. We know he's successful. Oh, Bone Steel versus Leonardo, 1-on-1 baseball bat versus katana. Whoa, a complete head duck there. A head duck into the shell. We don't really see that often. How is complicated to lift a damn net off of them? The heart got canned, that's for sure. Wow, and they're just laying into them. It was like punching those suits, and another head duck shot again. And how strong is Van Mee? She just lift up Donatello, slamming him around like it's nothing. Okay, Leonardo kick rat. You ever seen? There was this movie. I think it was called Sidekicks with Chuck Norris, who kicks Joe Piscopo's character or something, or Joe Piscopo's character can kick so hard that he does like multiple rotations in the air that's not physically possible. This predates that. Of course, vampires don't like sunlight, so that explains them getting out of that situation. But the shot of Bone Steel flying through the air and then doing a flip and then landing in that dumpster, that's not physically possible. So somebody was not paying attention with the footage there, but it was still hilarious. Close the drapes, they're melting, they're burning. That's a very smoky to really. They're really selling the fact that they were literally burning, and the entire set is filled with smoke. That is more effort in terms of that than we actually saw than on Buffy the Vampire Slayer that would have Spike just like kind of smoking when he's out in the sunlight with a jacket or something up over his head, but as soon as he enters, the smoke is gone. Yes, they totally messed up. They're really trying. Like, don't blame Raphael. It was their combined plan. But at least the status quo, like, it all takes place in a nice, even effort. And they're going back to sleep to act like nothing happened. But at least Raphael's plan, at least there was an effort with Raphael. Wait, Venus was awake? Venus was clearly aware of what was happening and just let them work that and let them go through it themselves. Okay, couple of things to unpack there. Actually, a number of things to unpack there. Uh, one, Bammy and or at least vampires in this continuity can get drunk on frozen plasma, especially if they drink a lot of it. Two, once again, Bone Steel's hunting tracking skills were on full display. He was able to net Raphael and the two kids, two vampire kid minions. Uh, certainly, we learned that Bone Steel not only hunted vampires and was successful at it. Uh, so which says a lot there. The fact that Leo, Donnie, Raph, and Mikey put together this plan, and apparently it was more of. It's not clear who comes up with the plan, but it comes across that Michelangelo basically talked Raphael into it. It's like, hey, Venus is asleep. Go in, if you take the jar with the heart out, you give it to the vampire lady. We can, just deal with this entire situation. When Venus does not need to know. It's kind of underhanded on their part. But the last shot is Raphael putting the heart back down in front of Venus, and that she opens her eye and smirking as if she knew that they would eventually come around to seeing things her way. Um, Van Mee as a villainess, certainly comes across as a lot more sympathetic because she's on borrowed time, and there is a little bit of slapstick there and the tension and drama and one kind of hopes in its own way. Like if this series was going to be a long, if the next Mutation series got additional seasons and such, that you kind of hope like a character like Van Mee would find ways of being resurrected and so forth. I don't. In fact, I don't even know how this arc ends. Actually, I don't know what happens in part 4. But she comes across as you sympathize with her, that her minions, again, the key details in there that her two minions, whose names I can't really remember because they're said so infrequently, like they knew where the heart was, that they knew that Venus was quote unquote deformed or essentially a giant reptile, and that they could have potentially they could have retrieved the heart first and brought it to China and then resurrect her instead of doing things in the opposite way. I get why they didn't do it that way, because if they did it the opposite way, like okay, they eventually get successful getting the heart, resurrecting Van Mee, it would mean that the turtles will have to lose at some point. Doing it in the reverse way certainly puts in a way, because of the order of the storytelling at this point in this 4-parter, kind of end up rooting for Van Mee because again she kind She's the one on a natural time, or rather unnatural time limit. Anyway, still, I rather like that episode. A lot of things to unpack, and again, since it's part of a 4 point story, as we reach the halfway point, um, everything that was carried over from part one was allowed to breathe and expand and stretch out for the betterment of the story. Onward to part three. And of course, get the recap of everything. So it is hilarious that there is you get the recap of the previous episode, which is going to lead into the cold open of the new episode. And actually, it's a very the fact that they actually do an excellent job of showing that a lot happened. They actually re-edit the shot of a Bone Steel landing in the dumpster. They use a different shot to try and make the continuity of him flipping in midair look a bit. They use a different shot there, essentially, that than was in the actual episode. What's Leonardo up to? Oh, wait. What's Bone Steel up to now? Wait, is Leonardo hunting Bone Steel and vice versa? Well, we know Bone Steel is hunting the turtles. I don't know if I like this look for Bone Steel without his like his coat and arm and his usual coat and stuff. Hunter is a silent warrior. Wait, is Leonardo about to screw with Bone Steel here because Leo's been studying the hunting books? So essentially, is Leonardo going to be hunting Bone Steel? He is. Uh, Leonardo is hunting the hunter. And that ties directly into part one of this arc, where Leonardo has voices frustrations in dealing with Bone Steel, and like he wants to learn how to be a hunter. Leonard necessary says like, yeah, that's against the ninja training. Leo does all the research and it was actually able to get him out of, well, knew what Bone Steel was doing at the end of the first episode as it relates to that trap pit that was a big factor in part one. Ooh. Dude looks like he was on the receiving end from Jade Venus. It's cool and creamy, she says. So how much of a time limit? She just said in a number of hours, she'll be cool and creamy. Again, the time jumping here is a bit much. To put those safety goggles on Donatello's head. Wow. So hitting the heart with that sledgehammer caused Van Mead to flip backwards. Yeah, they're attacking the heart hurts Van Mead. Again, this is making me feel bad for her. And she's the villain. So they tried leaving it out in the sun and it didn't work. Well, Venus could have told him that. One thing, Bone Steel wants Bone Steel wants the turtles. Bambi wants the heart, which the turtles have. Team up, bada bing, bada boom. Problem solved, right? Right. The chair clashes with her drapes, and they're. Oh, and they literally throw him out the window. Well, Bone Steel could have Bone Steel was actually being clever there, trying to strike a deal. And again, I like that his overall attire. Again, I like him with the coat on. Leonardo literally going on hunting river go and saying, "Your mind Bone Steel." Boy, does he have it out for him. Again, call back to part one. Smoke text. A guide to to reveal hidden text. So Venus does not know all the dialogue. Oh my goodness, Raphael's just ripping into Venus because she was basically an apprentice. And I appreciate that this being a four-parter, the scenes can be stretched out, but this is also driving home the fact how much of a dick the four male turtles can be. And we've seen that a number of times over the course of the series. I have pointed it out a number of times with Michelangelo, with Raphael, with Leonardo, and Donatello. It's like and yeah, it's like they just pissed her off to the point to say, you know what, she's gonna fly solo. And frankly, I don't blame Venus. I don't blame her at all. And she's magical battles happen behind closed doors, she says. And she's able to use that powder to unlock a chain. She found her way to like an auto garage, which is, well, no, I'll say, let me rephrase that, an auto shop, like an auto garage. She's essentially setting up a trap while she's reviewing the scroll. So one way or another, she is going to deal with the situation herself. And that the fact that they can track the heart, Vammy is drawn to her heart, is like the confrontation is going to happen. And again, the flying footage and stuff of like stock footage of New York is actually quite clever, or quite good. Wonder if that it's actually, I doubt that they actually commissioned a helicopter for some of those aerial shots. I wonder how much of that is actual stock footage. It has to be stock footage to some degree. Oh, there are some actual hand gestures there, but Venus only has 3 fingers to work with, and they have found her face to face. Venus and Van Me. It's like, would this? How does one consider this to be? Would it be a cat fight with with a turtle and vampire? They're gonna throw down Venus and Van Me one on one. They actually used that footage that was actually seen in the opening. That comes from this episode. And here comes Bone Steel. Is he gonna wander his way over? Yeah, he was able to track. He's able to smell the turtle aroma. And Venus wants to throw down. Magic doesn't work. Down to fisticuffs. Oh, oh, they just landed head first. Gotta appreciate the stunt work. Carrying a liver sausage. Yeah, Bone Steel, why would a turtle be carrying a liver sausage? As Leo is continuing his stalking of Bone Steel. Come on, let's see the throwdown here. Cat fight, wait, again, is this a cat fight? Hey, it's our hero, Bone Steel. He swings into action. And Leo shows up and then saves the day. Well, that's a big ass wrench. Time for a tune-up. Okay, that's clever. While using a bumper. Wait, they're using a tire iron and lug nut jacks. That's again. I this series is not getting enough praise for how creative it can be. Yes, the slapstick and stuff and the cartoony sound effects works to its detriment, but the stunt work and choreography really is good. Weird use of a Barker voice for Leonardo doing a ring toss bit onto Van Mee. Poor Van Mee. She wakes up after 2,000 years and has all this has to deal with all this nonsense. Oh, Bone Steel has the heart now. Yeah, it's too late for the heart. What about the scrolls? What about the scrolls? That's well, they actually showed the Venus exiting reverse shot of Venus exiting the car. She doesn't have to explain. Venus telling Raphael. Venus just told Raphael to kiss her shell. Things went wrong. Yeah, yeah. Don't. Yeah. Nobody. These guys better not be ripping into Venus. Yeah. Leo pointing out that he's been hunting the hunter, and they're using this, pulling out the footage of the weapons and such. Or they're making use of a lot of these transitions. Mr. Moogie? Oh, it's a stuffed cat. At least I'm hoping that's a stuffed cat. Bone Steel tends to cook the heart? What does he have in mind with that share? And they're seriously using the stock footage of the vehicles, them getting on the vehicles again in this episode. Well, I'd say not in this episode, but yeah, okay. Again, I always say take a shot, and it's from the first portion. Wait, Venus got into the passenger seat, not Michelangelo. Okay, show the Humvee. Show us who's sitting where. Yeah, yeah. The continuity of every time they get into the Humvee as it peels out, again, they are never in sync because they just showed a shot of Michelangelo driving and Leo in the driver's in the passenger seat, even though Venus should be in the passenger in the seat, and and Leonardo driving. But they also show back-to-back shots of Venus and Donatello sitting down and then standing up in the back. It's like they don't have any. I get like they could not have anticipated how often they would use the exterior, the vehicle shots. But one would have thought there would have been a little bit more continuity involved there to at least show different combinations and be consistent. Because more than apparent that they filmed all the driving stuff early on, and they only did it a couple of times to have like a few different shots. They're scaling a wall. Bone Steel is just waiting. Like everything, Bone Steel is just vibing. The fireworks of war? Quite literally, fireworks. Oh yeah, I was like, in fact, Bone Steel just sitting back in his chair, just vibing out as he's was waiting. And it's a three-way brawl. The turtles, the vampires, and Bone Steel. Wait, the Bone Steel set a trap. Like he had to set a trap, but what? Wait, wait. He turned out the lights, and it's a scramble on the roof. It's like it's a scramble for a football. That's what they should. Okay, making use of the fireworks of war. That how hard is it to grab a jar and hold on to it? Oh, and the fireworks actually lighting, giving them enough air. Wait, Donatello going to do a backbreaker on Michelangelo? Bone Steel squaring up with Bone Steel? Hey, Leo getting his butt kicked by the two vamp kids? I can appreciate that, but still. Well, Michelangelo is like the creepy kid with the ponytail. And it's funny, Van Mee and Venus have been squaring up, and every time they go, every conflict, combat sequence, uh, it's like I guess the female and female violence is like okay, only Venus could fight Van Mee, but the two of them have excellent banter. Well, Raphael just proved he's fast. There's a lot in this episode too. They certainly crammed a lot in it to kind of like spread things out, but also to have the turtles be successful in getting the heart back. How many fireworks? You need shampoo? Oh, and Bone Steel captured the vampires. Kind of interesting on the interesting, but I have to comment it on the crossbow transition, and no one actually uses a crossbow. No, maybe Splinter. No, Splinter didn't use a crossbow. Neither does Venus. And they haven't really used many of the weapon transitions that much over the course of the series. There was a couple with the sword seen in one episode, and a few shell transitions. But yeah. Anyway, So with Unchain My Heart Part 3 out of the way, as it's a little after 4 o'clock at the time I'm recording this, the lot to unpack here. Obviously, they made a conscious effort to follow up on Leonardo's hunter training. That he was basically hunting Bone Steel for a good chunk of this episode. The entire sequence with Donnie, Raph, and Michelangelo being straight up dicks to Venus when she's trying to explain things to them regarding the Shinobi magic, and that the text is in a language, or at least using an archaic dialect that she has not studied yet. As a matter of fact, Donatello's saying the lines, well, maybe a little bit meditating, more time hitting the books, we wouldn't be in this problem. That's a dick move from Donatello. Uh, to put it mildly there. Matter of fact, a lot of the issues where people have with the characterization of the turtles at the time this series aired, saying that they were they were not on par with the '87 turtles or the turtles in the movies. Even though we kind of saw in the movies that Raphael could be a stubborn jackass, and Leonardo same as well to an extent. And Michelangelo certainly had his crisis towards the end of Ninja Turtles 3. Um, but the clash in personalities and the fact that they are opinionated in a way to there would be borderline antagonistic is to the point of literally driving Venus out for her to go out on her own to try and deal with the vampires on her own, especially after the previous episodes where they tried to deal with it and it all backfired on them. But the big problem that I am having with this 4-part arc is that the first episode, the part one ending with the turtles having the heart in their possession, not knowing they have the heart, is certainly a great cliffhanger. Parts 2 and 3 ending with the turtles retrieving the heart because of circumstances where it leaves their possession is kind of weird in a way. Because again, we have Bambi, who is introduced as a villain, and everything associated with her presents her in a very sympathetic light. Because uh, Bambi has done nothing other than trying to get her heart back. She is not like a vampire. She actually got chastised by her two little minions for drinking frozen plasma instead of going out and hunting like for blood as as a traditional vampires. Like they literally called her out for like what she did was being like undignified. Bone Steel is overall like the overall MVP, and the fact that the Dragon Lord is not even involved in this story arc is actually wonderful. Because there will be no room for the Dragon Lord or the rank in it. There's certainly no room for them in this story. But it kind of shows where, because this 4-parter aired more towards the middle of the series, as opposed to where here we're watching it towards the very end because of how the DVD really set has the episodes arranged. Bone Steel overall is probably the best overall villain in the show, and I would dare say number 2 is Silver, and I'll put Doctor Queez ahead of the Dragon Lord. And I'm not but here's the thing, I'm not even sure if at this point, because Bambi hasn't done anything outright evil. I'm not sure if we can totally I can totally characterize her as a villain. I really can't. Because she has not Bambi, her little minions, even her little even her even her little minions, I can't. It's an interesting. It's an boys like how the hell do we label these characters? It's like the vampire. I can't really put the vampire trio as outright villains because part three, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael are more antagonistic towards Venus than Van Me is when they're going head to head twice in two separate combat sequences. Bone Steel kind of gets dragged into this entire thing by circumstances because of what happens at the end of part one, and everybody's paths keeps crossing. It's it's totally nuts in a way. It's like the more I think about it, the more or less sense it makes. Anyway, next week we got Unchain My Heart Part 4 and the series finale with what was it? Who Needs Her? So that would be next week. Over on my Twitch channel tonight, my buddy Iceman and I will be playing Tom Clancy's The Division 2. I've played it before. We've played it before. It's mostly to do with the Brooklyn expansion. Also on my Twitch channel, we are playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and I'm still messing around with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's amazing how much content is in that game. And so also Friday here on YouTube. Will the arguably one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek outright, if not the greatest episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I will be doing a rewatch, a reaction, discussion, commentary of the episode Duet. That is on Friday. So till next time, my friends, like, comment, subscribe if you're so inclined. Tighten your friendship bracelet. Stay safe. We'll see you in the next video or on the next stream. We'll see you when we see you.